Hi, it's Samantha from Samantha by Design. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. Thank you so much for being here today. We're going to be covering the difference between a warm undertone or a cool undertone, and why sometimes just mixing a yellow and a blue doesn't give you that nice vibrant green you thought it would. We'll also go over some super unexpected color mixes that you probably didn't even know you could make with the paints that you had. I'm going to start by prepping a little black square on my canvas here so that I have a different surface to show you guys the paint on. Alright, let's go over our colors real quick. We have naphtol crimson, we have cadmium red medium, yellow ochre or yellow oxide, cadmium yellow medium, cadmium yellow light. We have phthalo blue green shade, ultramarine blue, phthalo green blue shade. We have phthalo green yellow shade, dioxazine purple, quinacridone magenta, burnt sienna, cadmium orange, burnt umber, carbon black, unbleached titanium, and titanium white. So the first thing I would like to do is explain to you guys that there is a huge difference between a warm undertone and a cool undertone. So if you're looking at the paints on the palettes, you can see that these two reds are very different. These yellows are all very different. These two blues are different. These two greens are also very different. So on this side here, I've done what's called a split primary palette, and I've gone ahead and put a warm blue and a cool blue, a cool yellow, a warm yellow. This is also a warm yellow. We put a warm red and a cool red, and we'll go over what that means. So if you're looking at a color wheel, you have what's called warm colors and cool colors. So anything that reminds you of fire, like orange, yellow, red, those are your warm colors. And everything that reminds you of ice or being cold, like your purples, your blues, your greens, those are your cool colors. And even though this blue is a cool color, the undertone of it is warm. It has a red undertone. So this is a cool color, it's blue, but it has a warm undertone, so it might mix differently when you're trying to mix it with a yellow. We're going to be going over a lot of this stuff today, but the first thing I want to do is start swatching the colors on the black square here and also the white canvas so you guys could get a better look at it. I'm going to grab a brush. Which brush do I want? Let's grab a tiny brush here. So we're just going to start swatching. We'll start with this warm red. This is naphtol crimson. We're going ahead and put it on the black painted square here. And also on this one. So this is a cool red. It's a red that leans more on the violet side. And now we're going to grab the cadmium red medium, which is a warmer red. So this red leans towards the yellow orange side, so we'll put them side by side, and already you can see the difference, more so on the black square. It's a much warmer red. And rinse out your brush, and if you have some paint and you want to do this fun little experiment with me, go ahead and grab all of your supplies. We'll be going over some stuff here, and you could play around with your paint and see what color mixes do what. We're going to grab cadmium yellow medium. Okay, this is a warm yellow. Yellows are fairly transparent, so you see it went on way better over top of white than black. Next, we're going to swatch the cadmium yellow light, which is a cool yellow. This yellow has a green undertone. All right, there we go. Rinse out your brush properly. Now we're going to move over to the blues. We'll leave a spot here for yellow ochre, but I want to show you that in a minute. So this is phthalo blue. Okay, this is a cool blue. It has a green undertone. In fact, it is called phthalo blue green shade, so this one was easy. If you have a tube of paint at home that I'm not mentioning here, if you Google it, it'll tell you. You can write phthalo blue, green shade, warm or cool undertone, and the internet will tell you. Let's swatch the ultramarine blue. So this is our warm blue. It's more on the red side, violet-y reddish side of the blue. You can see the difference here. We're gonna do the greens next. So this is phthalo green blue shade, which is our cool green. And then our phthalo green yellow shade, which is a warmer green. I forgot to swatch the phthalo green blue shade, so we'll give it some room here. So that's the yellow shade, phthalo green yellow shade. We'll go back to the cool phthalo green. This is the phthalo green blue shade. And these are the pure pigments straight out of the tube. So now we've done those ones. I'll show you what yellow ochre looks like. So this is a warm yellow. Very, very nice yellow, but you can see here it's much more warm. This one is such a cool yellow, the cadmium yellow light. Now we're going to swatch the dioxazine purple. Okay. All right, there you go. So dioxazine purple is a cool purple. The quinacridone magenta is also a cool color. So this is a pink that's more on the blue side. Even though it looks pink, if you try to mix it with a certain colors, you might not get the effect that you want. This is the burnt sienna, which is a warm brown. It is a red brown. Then we have the cadmium orange here. We're not going to worry too much about the undertone of this one. I just wanted to show you something real quick. And I'll explain why I took it out in a minute. And then this is the burnt umber, which is also a warmer brown. The carbon black is the color we have here, so I don't need to swatch that. Unbleached titanium white, which is a warm white color. If you can't find titanium white, you can also look for Titan buff. They're interchangeable. And then this is the titanium white, which is a cool white. All right. So now that we've swatched these colors and you see what they look like, we're going to go over a few other terms that you might hear and maybe you're not really sure what they mean. So we're just going to talk about what a value is, a hue, a shade, and a tint. So when we're talking about the hue, we're literally talking about the color. Red is a hue, blue is a hue, yellow is a hue, so on and so forth. When we're talking about the value of the color, we're talking about how light or how dark the color is. So if you're adding pure black pigment from the tube, that's the darkest value. And the more you add white, that's your lightest value. Also, when we're talking about tinting something, we're just talking about adding white to any color. If you're adding white, you're tinting it. And if you're adding black, you're shading that color. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tint these colors. So we'll start with our warm red here, or a cool red, sorry, the naphtol crimson. And I'm going to put it right here. So when you tint a color, you can see that it changed it. It's no longer red, it's pink. I'll put it directly under its counterpart here. But we tinted it. So by tinting the color, we've added white to it. That's all that means. Now we'll do the same thing with the Cadmium Red Medium. And this is where you can really see if a color is warmer or cooler. And when you add white to your paint, it makes it a little bit more opaque, so you'll be able to see it better against a darker background, like black, for example. Let's do the Cadmium Yellow Medium. Add some white to this. Right here. Okay, our Cadmium Yellow Light next. Rinsing my brush. So our Cadmium Yellow Light was our cool yellow. And a lot of artists like to paint with what's called a split primary palette, where they'll have a warm and a cool version of all these colors. So my brush made a little water drop here. We're just going to clean that up. So you can see that this yellow is way more green than the other one. By adding white to a color, sometimes it helps you to see the undertone a little bit better. We'll grab our yellow ochre, add some white, I forgot to put the Cadmium Yellow Light on the black background. Sorry, give me 1 second here. There, that's the light one on the black. We'll also go over how you know when a color is transparent and opaque before you put it on your canvas. I'll show you how to read your paint tube. Now we'll go over to the blue. Get some white. So this is our cool blue. This is Phthalo Blue green shade. That was the Ultramarine blue. We'll grab the Phthalo green blue shade. Add some white to tint it. So you can see that these colors show up a lot better on black when they are tinted with the white. Now we're going to grab the yellow shade. Wipe the extra moisture off our brush. Okay. The Dioxazine Purple. And we're going to go over all of these. So again, we are tinting these colors, meaning we're adding white to them. A little bit of purple got into that mixture. So this was the quinacridone magenta. And you can see that this pink looks a lot more like the cool red pink instead of this warm red pink. Burnt Sienna, which was a warm brown. It's a red brown. Okay. And we're going to put our cadmium orange, because I want to show you something with this color. So this is pretty much almost a neon color, but I want to show you that sometimes it's better to buy the color out of the tube than trying to mix it, because if I try to make cadmium orange by mixing cadmium red and cadmium yellow, I'm not going to get the same color. Even though red and yellow make orange, we'll never get this color out of the tube. You can get close, but not exact. So this is burnt umber. Also a warm brown. Whoops, I got some green in there, that's fine. And I don't have to mix white with white. But there you go. So we tinted the color, and then if we were to shade them, we'd be doing the same thing but mixing them with black. So when you shade, we'll do a few. We'll add some black to the Phthalo Blue. Okay, so now this color is shaded. And we could also tint the shaded value of this by adding white to it. So now we're tinting the shade. And the more and more white you get, we are changing the value of the hue, which is blue and black. I hope that makes sense. Now, we're gonna go over why sometimes you mix a color and it doesn't work out the same way you thought it would. So I'm going to grab a palette knife. Okay. So we'll use this palette knife here. And let's say I don't have a green and I want to make one. Okay, well, when you're little and you're in kindergarten or whenever you're learning how to mix color, you learn that by mixing blue and yellow, you get a green. Okay, well, let's say I want a nice lime green and I have cadmium yellow medium and I have some phthalo blue. Okay, and I mix these two together and I'm like, oh my god, that's awesome. This is pretty much the green I wanted. This is a nice lime green. Super pretty. It's almost like these ones here, so that's not bad. That's pretty good. But let's say you didn't have those two and you weren't so lucky with your color mixing. So let's say all you had was ultramarine blue and the cadmium yellow, and you start mixing them and you can see how much more dull this color looks compared to this one. So if you had these colors and you're trying to make a nice grass bright green, and no matter what you're mixing, you're just getting this and you think, hey, maybe I'll add some white, maybe that'll help. It's not helping. All right, well, let's go over why this green is so much different even though we're using blue and yellow. Well, we went over the undertones. So ultramarine blue has a warm undertone. So it's like a red blue. And cadmium yellow medium has a warm undertone. It's pretty much a true yellow. So by mixing this yellow with the ultramarine blue, what's happening is the red mixing, the undertone red mixing with the blue, with the yellow is making an orange color. All right? And orange is opposite to blue on the color wheel, therefore it's dulling your color. It's not an ugly color. Sometimes you need this color for distant trees and whatnot. But when you want this color and you don't understand why this one's happening, you have to look at the undertone of your paint. So a reddish blue with a like greenish yellow will never ever give you a nice lime green because they're dulling each other. Even though we're taught in school that green can be made by mixing blue and yellow, it's not always true. Sometimes it's not a nice green color. We're also taught in school that if you mix the phthalo, like a blue color, with a red color, you should in theory get purple, right? All right, well, when you start painting and you're trying to make purple and you're mixing phthalo blue with cadmium red medium, look at what's happening here. Okay, we'll add some white so you can really see the situation here. Okay, it is not making purple at all. It's kind of like a brownish black color. Again, because the phthalo blue has a green shade and green dulls out red. So these two are making a brown or black color. Okay, but if you were to take the ultramarine blue and mix it with the naphtol crimson, then we're getting more of a purple than with the other two, blue and red. Like, it's not quite a super nice purple, but it's a lot better than this. Than this brown. This is somewhat purple at least. My favorite purple mix, I'm going to show you guys real quick. If you don't have Dioxazine Purple and you want to make your own, I find that ultramarine blue with quinacridone magenta makes the nicest purple color, and you can play with it to make it more blue or more pink, but this purple is way nicer. And that's just about understanding the undertones of your paint and playing around with it. Okay? Now let's say we want to make orange. Okay, red and yellow should make orange, right? So let's grab our naphtol crimson and this yellow. This is yellow ochre. So now we have a cool red and a warm yellow trying to make orange, and it's doing this. Again, not an ugly color, but not a nice bright orange that we want. So if you don't have orange straight out of the tube, you don't understand why your orange is doing that, you just have to understand your undertones. So let's try to make an orange with a warm red and a warm yellow. Okay, this orange is starting to get much nicer. If we add more yellow, we can get it more orange. Okay, but you remember what I was saying about the cadmium orange? We will never be able to get this exact color of orange. Let's try it with the cadmium yellow light. Okay, so we'll grab our cadmium yellow light, and we'll grab our cadmium yellow red medium, sorry. And we'll mix those two together. I'll do it on the canvas. See, we're never gonna get to this orange. Even though we're mixing two cadmiums, which should give us orange, we'll never get the true pigment. But we see that by mixing colors with undertones that are complementary to each other, they work together, we're getting a way nicer orange. So now maybe you don't have any black paint and you want to dull the color. So you want to shade your color, make it darker, but you don't have any black. No problem. I'll show you how. So let's grab some red, okay? And you want to dull this color. You can just add some green to it, and it'll make your red way less pigmented. Right, there you go. We'll add some white to show you. So this red is now a lot more dull than what it was before. So if you use the colors opposite on the color wheel, they'll dull each other out. But sometimes some weird stuff happens. So red and green are opposite on the color wheel. So let's say I was trying to dull my color with some quinacridone magenta and some phthalo green blue shade. Now this is where we're going to get into some unexpected color mixes that are absolutely some of my favorite. So if you grab phthalo green blue shade and quinacridone magenta and mix them together, you get this super crazy unexpected bluish color. Okay, they should be dulling each other out, but since we have two cool colors working together with different undertones, we're getting this awesome silvery blue. Look at this. Who would have thought that pink and green would make this color? When I first started painting, I had no idea. Okay, so that's a fun color mix. Now, sometimes also you're like, okay, well maybe I want to make my brown and my blue, I want to mix them together just for fun. Let's try that. So another one of my favorite unexpected color mixes is ultramarine blue and some burnt umber. If you don't have black to mix with your white to make a gray, you can mix these two colors and they make such a beautiful gray together, these two colors. It's ridiculous. Let me grab some white here. Well, my white has some green in it. But this makes a beautiful chromatic black, we call it, is when you mix your own black color. But look at this. Who would have thought blue and brown would make a nice gray color? That's all about understanding your undertones and your values. So you can just play around with your paint and do all these crazy unexpected mixes and get all these awesome results. And if you were to mix every single color on this palette, well, let's see what's gonna happen just for fun. Why not? Let's mix all of the colors. We'll grab some purple, some pink, some burnt sienna. We'll grab orange, some brown. Trying to grab equal parts here. Oh, I didn't want to grab black. Take the black off. Some unbleached titanium. We'll grab the red, this yellow. Okay, we're gonna grab all of the colors. We'll just start mixing. We're we're gonna get a pretty funky color because they're all gonna play against each other. So we'll either get a weird brown or almost a black. And the more you start playing with this, the more you'll see how colors work together. So when I'm painting trees, I rarely ever use black to shade my colors. So if I'm painting a dark tree, okay, and I rarely ever use color straight from the tube. So I want to paint a tree, okay, ooh, it's so beautiful and very bright green, but the tree in the picture is not this color green. Well, I can add red to my green to dull it. Okay, that's one way to mute your green color. Okay, or you can add a red brown, like burnt sienna, to dull your green, which is absolutely one of my favorite things to do, to dull your green color. See? I love that. You can absolutely add black if you want it to be darker, okay, like that. But you don't want to add black to all of your colors because sometimes what happens, let me show you this other super cool thing that can happen, is if you mix yellow and you want to make your yellow darker. Okay, let's add black, right? That's what makes sense. Well, not necessarily, you see, because black and yellow makes green. Well, I don't want green, I want a darker yellow. Well, what's opposite to yellow on the color wheel? It's purple. So let's put some yellow back down, okay? And I want to dull that. So I'm going to grab the tiniest bit of purple and just mix it in. And now I have a darker yellow that isn't green, like this. All right? And same goes if you want a purple that's not this bright. You can add some yellow to it, and it will dull your color. There we go. So now your purple is a lot less vibrant. I hope this video has been helpful and that you now have a better understanding of undertones, hues, values, shades, and tints. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and click the bell to be notified when I upload next. The links to my socials are down in the description below if you'd like to check them out. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for being here. Bye!